Welcome back, House of Five family. And if you are new here, welcome to our house. I'm Wendy, and today we're going to be talking about how much you should be spending on your grocery budget. So I'll see you back here in about 6 seconds. And stay tuned because at the end, we're going to start adding a new series onto every single episode, and that is what is happening at Team Maze. All right, guys, I'll see you in a few seconds. All right, everybody. Well, again, welcome to the House of Financial Independence. My name is Wendy. I am one half of the House of Five podcast. Missing is my better half, Curtis. We are a family of 8. We have 6 children and 5 of them are still at home. And those 5 are all boys and they eat a lot. It's ridiculous how much they eat, and 4 of them are under 9. So that's only going to get worse as we get closer to them being big boys. But I wanted to do this video to kind of just share how we have made some tremendous cuts in our food budget, and then comparing that with what the USDA requires for recommended spending for different household sizes. And so that's what we're going to get in today. Before you can even dive into the actual process of budgeting, I think it's really important for you to take a look at the needs of the size of your family. My spending is going to be absolutely different from a household of 4 versus a household of 2. And also depending on the sizes and ages of your family. So really take a look at the size and the needs of your particular family, and don't compare them to others because everybody's eating is different. They have different nutritional needs as well as sizes. So take a look at your family and really evaluate what do you need for your family. Then the next thing I think it's important to look at too is really what is your goal in answering this question for you? Is your goal to make some significant cuts to your budget? Is your goal to switch to maybe an organic diet or maybe a vegetarian or a vegan diet? Is your goal to add more protein into your diet? Really think about what your objectives are, and then from there we can work backwards into getting it into a healthy spending for what your goals are. Then one of the really important parts is you really need to know what you're spending now. I know that when we first dove into the financial independence space, we were spending ridiculous. When I say ridiculous, I mean ridiculous amounts of money on our food. Yes, we're a big family, but we were spending $2,000 and $3,000 a month on food, which was just nuts. And it's because we just bought whatever we wanted. There was no intentionality to our spending. So really take a look at your bank statements, take a look at your maybe your online transaction history and maybe your receipts, or maybe you don't even really know what you're spending. So maybe it'd be a good idea to track first. So don't put any sort of limits on it yet, but just track for maybe a good 2 to 4 weeks just to see what it is that you're buying. Now, I know I said just a second ago you shouldn't be comparing, but I did want to just briefly mention that the U.S. government does have guidelines for what they think is an appropriate spending amount. I know when I was practicing bankruptcy law, these were the guidelines that we used to figure out how much someone going through bankruptcy should be spending on their groceries. So I think it is a good tool for comparison's sake, and I'm going to link down below the address to get that so that you could take a look at it. I know that when I look at those guidelines compared to what we're spending now, we're still spending $200 to $300 less for our household size, what the government allows. So I think that's a good gauge for you. You can tell kind of from there, okay, am I overspending or do I have room to maybe make some further cuts? The other neat thing about this is that it has a low spending versus a moderate versus a high spending. So you can further gauge from there. And just as a for instance, for a family of 4 with small children, just a moderate spending, they recommend about $889 a month. Now, as you can imagine, for us as a household of 8, how much bigger does our budget get to be? They actually do break it down by age of the child. So our children are 9, 8, 6, and 5. And so depending on which one we're talking about, we would add per child between $167 to $230 to that other figure I just quoted you, the $889. So as you can tell, like, it's a pretty healthy budget. And so that is kind of a good gauge for you. We spend a lot less though, and that's what we're going to talk about next. All right, now I said just a second ago what we used to spend, and that was between $2,000 and $3,000, sometimes more, depending if we were eating out a lot that much. That's what we used to spend. Now we consistently spend about $800 to $900 a month for our household of 7. My 23-year-old daughter does not live with us anymore, but I am feeding 5 boys. Well, my husband is a full-grown man, of course, and then my oldest son is also a very full-grown man. We're talking about 6'4", and both of them, high 200s. They're big boys. And then my little ones are 9, 8, 6, and 5, and they can sometimes eat as much as my oldest son. So these boys are eaters. And we still only spend between $800 and $900 a month. I'm going to put up on the screen just some screenshots of the last month of food budget, our receipts. So if you can see, each one of the amounts was between, we had a low week. It was half a week of about $60-something, but they were all right around $180 to $230. When I took all those together and averaged it out, it was a little over $800. That actually, for those 5 trips, which it actually was about 4.5 weeks from January to February, that equated to about $919. Now, I wanted to further break that down to show what that actually equated to per person, per meal, per week. And when I further break that down, we spent about $1.39 or $1.40 per person, per meal, per week. And I think that's pretty fantastic. I know some others out there use a $2 per meal per person as a guideline, and the fact that we're under that, I think, is really, really great. So now what I want to do is actually get into kind of the method that I use to save more money when we shop for groceries. The very first thing that we do is I shop our pantry and our freezer, and that is a lesson that I learned going all the way back to my grandma, to have a well-stocked pantry and freezer. It's imperative because in there you're going to have staples, things like flour, like baking powder, because you can make pancakes, you can make certain, really quick and really inexpensive meals, oatmeal, those sorts of things. So the first thing that we do is we shop our pantry. And if you want to read one of my older articles on having a well-stocked pantry, I'm going to link that down below. So that's the first thing I do, is I take a look at what we already have, and then I try to coordinate our dinners for the week around that. And so then I'm on Pinterest. I'm looking for easy, healthy meals that I can make based upon what we have. So for instance, I know that I have some vegetarian crumbles in my freezer for tonight. We ended up eating way more chicken last night than we should have. And so half of that chicken was going to be for a meal, but now it's not, because the boys just tore up the chicken. So I needed to see what I have. And so I have all of the makings for chili mac. So I'm going to use the crumbles plus what I already had in my pantry, diced tomatoes. I have shredded cheese in the kitchen, and all of the other, the pasta shells, all of that. I have everything that I need to make this meal on the fly. Every week I'm creating a dinner meal plan for our family. And I do this because I don't want to have to guess what we're going to have for dinner. I know on Monday nights, I have a class, and so Kurt is going to be in charge of making dinner, so I need to make sure that on Monday nights I have something easy for him. Because if it's not easy, he's not going to do it. So I meal plan for the week, and I write it on a chalkboard in our kitchen, and I'll throw up a picture of my fancy chalkboard that Kurt made for me as a DIY, where I put our week's meal plans as well as the grocery list for things that we need on the next grocery haul. And that brings me to one of the other things that I do. I no longer grocery shop whenever we want to or do big monthly hauls. We used to do big monthly hauls of shopping and buy in bulk from places like Costco. However, I no longer do that, and it has saved me a tremendous amount of money. And the reason for that is that, again, I have 5 boys in my house, plus a big husband who eats a lot of food. And what I found is if I would buy this stuff in bulk, they would just blow through it. And I would find myself at week 2.5 needing to go back to the store to get the things that were supposed to last. And so instead of what I do is I shop weekly, I shop on a designated day, I shop on a Monday, and anything that we need after that goes up on the board for the next Monday grocery shopping trip. The other thing that I do that saves us money is I no longer go to the store if I can avoid it. I order online, and how this has saved me money is that it has stopped any kind of impulse buys, because invariably, even if you're shopping with a list, you're going to go into the store and you're going to be tempted to buy something that is not on your list or that you just suddenly remembered that you needed. And so I order online, and I make every effort that I can to not have to go into the store. Now, you might wonder whether or not we use coupons, and that is something that we used to do. We just don't do that anymore. I just frankly don't have the time, and it was something that Curtis was much better at than me. And it was also back when a lot of the stores allowed triple and quadruple coupons, and they just really don't do that anymore where we are. And Walmart no longer price matches, so it just became too much a time consumer for me than I felt I had the benefits for. So I know a lot of people are able to coupon and save a lot of money, and I certainly don't want to discourage that. It's just something that we don't do anymore. If you have any tips that you think would be helpful in helping us or our audience save money on their grocery budget, I would love to hear those in the comments. And so I wanted to circle back with one of the first things that we talked about being important in, recognizing your goals for what you're trying to accomplish with your shopping budget. For us, we knew that we needed to cut significantly in our household budget. And so what we really tried to do was cut our budget as much as we could. And we were able to do that just by being intentional. And then we could have cut our budget further. And in fact, we did that for some time. I'll link to some of the Aldi challenges that we did early on, where we spent $75 a week for the whole for dinners for the whole household, and that was awesome, and that was really great that we were able to do that. And in a pinch, we could do that again. But what I found is that this is a price point for us where we're comfortable, where we don't feel like we're deprived, where we're still saving a lot of money and everybody is happy. So, it's really up to you to decide how much you want to cut your budget, and then you might need to tweak it from there. I hope you have found these tips helpful and that they help you save money on your budget. Stay tuned. After this, we're going to share some of the goings on in the Team Maze household. This is hopefully going to be a new thing that we do after every single video, so stick around if you want to see that. And for those of you who are signing up, bye and have a great week. All right, everybody, thank you to those who stuck around. Whew, my camera is wobbling a little bit. I wanted to talk about 2 things in the Maze household this week, because I sat down and I folded laundry this week, and invariably what comes with folding laundry is sock frustration. And I just wanted to share with you, this is just one of the socks. Now, in December, I cleared out all of the boys' drawers and I threw away all of the socks that had holes in them, and I left the ones that did not. We made a decision, and here's another one. Fresh hole. I don't even know how these happen. I don't know. I have my suspicions as to who is doing it. It's one of my sons with some sensitivity issues, and so I know it's him doing it. But what happens is I throw the socks away, then I have a mix match, and I just am so tired of that. And so what we decided in December is that we were going to just do all black socks from now on. We were going to, as the socks went away, we weren't going to buy any new socks that were not black, which we did. Santa brought lots of black socks at Christmas. And do you want to know how many pairs we have left? I don't even know, because I haven't seen them in the laundry. I don't even know where they are. I don't know where they've gone, but they're gone. And so there is our sock dilemma. I am really trying to stay strong and not buy more socks until the next school year. But guys, like we've got like 6 months to go, and we run out of socks in 4 days. So I don't know what to do about that. But anyways, I'm wondering if any of you moms and dads out there can relate to this sock drama. Oh, and here's my alarm to go pick up my boys at school, because if I didn't have an alarm, I would forget them at school. All right, everybody, I am signing off. Have a great week.